Does the thought of risk make you cringe, or does it excite you? What if we told you that risk is not something to avoid, but something to manage? In the realm of wealth management, the concept of risk often takes center stage. It's this unpredictable variable that has the power to make or break fortunes. The traditional school of thought advises us to stay away from risk, to choose the safe path, the predictable outcome. But what if we were to challenge that notion? What if we were to tell you that risk is not a monster to be feared, but a beast to be tamed? Now, don't get us wrong. We're not advocating for reckless abandon. No, far from it. We're talking about a calculated approach, a strategic game plan. We're talking about managing risk, not avoiding it. Consider this. Every successful venture, every groundbreaking innovation, every leap of progress, they all had one thing in common: a certain degree of risk. If those pioneers had chosen to avoid risk, we wouldn't be where we are today. So, why should you shy away from it? The key lies not in avoiding risk, but in understanding it, in grasping its nature, its tendencies, its patterns. Once you've done that, once you've learned to navigate the stormy seas of risk, you'll find that it's not as terrifying as it seems. And there's more. Managing risk doesn't just mean protecting yourself from potential loss. It also means unlocking potential gains. It means opening doors to opportunities that others might miss. It means stepping out of your comfort zone and venturing into the realm of the unknown, armed with knowledge and strategy. So let's toss aside the age-old advice of playing it safe. Let's embrace the unpredictable, the uncertain, the risky. Not with fear, but with understanding. Not with avoidance, but with management. Stay tuned as we delve deeper into this thought-provoking concept. First and foremost, what exactly do we mean by risk? Well, in the context of wealth management, risk is the potential for loss. That's right, loss. It's the possibility that your investment might not pan out the way you hope, that the business venture you're so excited about might not succeed. In essence, risk is uncertainty. Now, risk is inherent in any investment or business venture. Why, you ask? Because the future is unpredictable. No one can look into a crystal ball and see exactly how things will turn out. So whether you're investing in stocks, starting a new business, or even buying a house, there's always a degree of risk involved. But it's important to understand that there's a difference between perceived risk and actual risk. Perceived risk is what we think the risk is. It's influenced by our emotions, our past experiences, and the information we have at hand. Actual risk, on the other hand, is the real quantifiable risk that exists. It's not influenced by our feelings or perceptions, it's based on facts and data. So, why is this distinction important? Because often, our perception of risk is much greater than the actual risk. We might think that starting a business is incredibly risky because we've heard stories of businesses failing, but the actual risk might be much lower, especially if we've done our homework, researched the market, and made a solid business plan. Risk, therefore, is not something to be feared or avoided. It's something to be understood and managed, because without risk, there can be no reward. No one ever achieved financial success by playing it safe all the time. But how do you manage risk? Well, that's a topic for another day. For now, just remember this: risk is a part of life, it's a part of investing, and it's a part of wealth creation. Now that we understand what risk is, let's explore why we shouldn't avoid it. Risk, when managed effectively, can be your greatest ally. It's a concept that might seem counterintuitive at first, but stick with me here. To truly understand why we should embrace risk rather than avoid it, let's paint a picture. Imagine you're standing at the edge of a cliff. You have two options. You can either stay where you are safe and secure, or you can leap, not knowing what lies ahead. The leap is a risk, no doubt about it. But it's also a chance for growth, a chance to learn something new, and an opportunity to achieve something great. Embracing risk is about recognizing this potential for reward. It's about understanding that risk is not inherently bad, but rather a necessary part of progress. Just think about it. Every great invention, every groundbreaking discovery, every leap forward in human history has been the result of someone, somewhere, taking a risk. Risk is a catalyst for innovation. It forces us to think outside the box, to push the boundaries of what is possible. It encourages us to challenge the status quo, to question the way things have always been done. And in doing so, it opens up new possibilities, new opportunities for growth and success. But here's the thing. It's not about blindly jumping into the unknown. It's about calculated risks. It's about weighing the potential rewards against the potential losses. about making informed decisions based on a thorough understanding of the situation at hand. Embracing risk is not about recklessness, it's about courage, about the willingness to step outside your comfort zone in pursuit of a greater reward. It's about recognizing that the path to success is often paved with uncertainty, and having the resilience to navigate that path, regardless of the obstacles that may arise. To sum it up, embracing risk is about recognizing the potential for reward, about understanding the role of risk in innovation and growth, and about having the courage to take calculated risks in pursuit of your goals. So how do we manage risk effectively? Managing risk is not about eliminating it, but about controlling it. That's a powerful statement, isn't it? You see, life itself is loaded with risks, and the financial world is no different. But the trick lies not in avoiding risks, but in managing them effectively. So, how do we do that? Let's break it down. The first step in risk management is identification. This involves recognizing potential risks that might affect your investments. Think of it as a storm watcher on the lookout for any signs of a brewing storm. It's about being proactive, about staying ahead of the curve. Once we've identified the risks, it's time for assessment. This is where we determine the potential impact of each risk on our investments. We look at the probability of the risk occurring and the potential damage it could cause. This helps us prioritize our risks and decide which ones require immediate attention. Now here's where it gets interesting. Once we've identified and assessed our risks, we move on to controlling them. There are several strategies we can employ here, but one of the most effective ones is diversification. Yes, the age-old wisdom of not putting all your eggs in one basket holds true in the world of finance as well. By spreading your investments across a variety of assets, you can minimize the impact of any single risk. But remember, diversification is not just about investing in different types of assets, it's also about ensuring that these assets are not correlated. This means that if one asset goes down, it doesn't bring all the others down with it. Now you might be thinking, great, I've identified my risks, assessed them, and even diversified my portfolio. I'm all set, right? Well, not quite. You see, risk management is not a one-and-done deal. It's a continuous process. This brings us to the final aspect of risk management, monitoring. Regularly monitoring your investments allows you to track their performance, identify new risks, and make necessary adjustments. It's like a ship's captain constantly checking his compass to ensure he's on the right course. So there you have it. Managing risk is all about identifying, assessing, controlling, and monitoring. It's about being proactive and staying on top of your game. It's about understanding that risk is a part of life, but it doesn't have to control your life. As we wrap up this segment, remember that controlling risk doesn't mean avoiding it completely. It means understanding it, embracing it, and knowing how to navigate through it. Because at the end of the day, risk management is a continuous process, not a one-time event. The rich don't avoid risk, they manage it, and so can you. This insight is the cornerstone of the book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, a tome that has inspired millions to rethink their approach to finance. But what does it mean to manage risk, and how do the wealthy do it? In the world of finance, risk is like a wild horse. It's powerful, unpredictable, and if left unbridled, can cause a lot of damage. But if you learn how to tame it, it can take you places you've never dreamed of. The rich understand this concept. They don't shun the horse, instead, they learn to ride it. The wealthy see risk as an opportunity, not a threat. They understand that you can't make significant gains without taking some level of risk. The key is not to avoid risk altogether, but to take calculated risks. This means making decisions based on thorough research, careful planning, and sound judgment. The rich also know the importance of diversification. They don't put all their eggs in one basket. Instead, they spread their investments across a range of assets, sectors, and markets, which can help to mitigate potential losses. If one investment fails, others may succeed, balancing out the overall performance of their portfolio. Finally, the rich are aware that managing risk is a continuous process. It's not something you do once and forget about. They regularly review their investments, adjust their strategies, and stay informed about market trends and economic shifts. They are active participants in their financial journey, not passive observers. In essence, the rich embrace risk, they don't fear it. They see it as a tool that, if used correctly, can help to build wealth. They take calculated risks, diversify their portfolios, and actively manage their investments. In the end, it's not about avoiding risk, but about learning to dance with it. So, put on your dancing shoes, prepare for the music, and learn to move with the rhythm of risk. It might be a challenging dance, but once you master it, the rewards can be truly spectacular. Let's recap what we've learned today. We've taken a journey through the world of risk, dispelling misconceptions, and embracing the idea that risk, properly managed, is a partner in wealth creation, not an enemy. We've discovered that successful risk management is about understanding, embracing, and managing risk, not avoiding it. We started by provoking thought, by challenging the common notion of risk as something to be feared and avoided. Instead, we proposed a different perspective of seeing risk as a fundamental part of life, and more importantly, a critical component of wealth creation. Then, we delved into understanding risk. We learned that risk is not an arbitrary force, but rather, it's the potential of gaining or losing something of value. It's a necessary part of any business or investment. We also learned that it's not about eliminating risk, but about understanding it, measuring it, and making informed decisions. Next, we embraced risk. We discovered that successful people don't avoid risk. Instead, they embrace it. They see it as an opportunity for growth and profit. They understand that the greater the risk, the greater the potential reward. However, they also know that this doesn't mean taking reckless chances. It means taking calculated risks. We then moved on to managing risk. We learned about strategies for effective risk management, such as diversification, hedging, and insurance. These strategies don't eliminate risk, but they help us manage it and turn it into an ally. We also learned from the rich. We took lessons from the book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, understanding how the rich approach risk differently. They don't avoid it. Instead, they manage it effectively, using it as a tool to increase their wealth. In sum, we've learned that risk is not something to be feared or avoided. Instead, it's something to be understood, embraced, and managed. It's a partner in our journey towards financial freedom and wealth creation. Remember, risk is not your enemy, it's your partner in wealth creation. Don't let fear of risk hold you back. The fear of the unknown, the fear of loss, the fear of failure, these are all natural human instincts. But it's essential to understand that risk is not your enemy. In fact, it's just the opposite. Risk is your ally, your partner, in the journey towards wealth creation. Risk is a tool, a mechanism that can be understood, managed, and even leveraged. You see, when you start looking at risk from this perspective, it no longer remains this huge, insurmountable obstacle. Instead, it becomes a stepping stone, a bridge that takes you from where you are to where you want to be. Think about it. Every successful entrepreneur, every self-made millionaire, every business tycoon, they've all taken risks. They've all stepped into the unknown, ventured into uncharted territories. And yes, they've failed, lost, even stumbled along the way. But they've also learned, grown, and eventually succeeded. Because they didn't let their fear of risk hold them back. So, don't avoid risk. Embrace it, understand it, manage it. Because the truth is, there's no wealth creation without risk. There's no progress without risk. And there's definitely no success without risk. Remember, risk management is not about eliminating risk. It's about understanding and controlling it. It's about making informed decisions and taking calculated steps. It's about learning from your mistakes and growing from your failures. Because that's what risk management is all about. And once you start seeing risk as a tool for wealth creation, once you start managing it effectively, you'll realize that it's not the risk that's holding you back. It's your fear of it. So let go of this fear. Embrace risk. Manage it. And let it guide you to your wealth goals. Manage your risk and let it guide you to your wealth goals. And don't forget to subscribe for more insights and strategies on wealth management.